Alright, the show is officially starting, so come on down, grab a seat. Thank you everyone for coming out. Awesome. Alright, welcome to NYVR. Man, it's been a long time since I've said that. For anyone who doesn't know me, I'm the NYVR organizer, co-founder of the Glimpse Group. We are here with NYVR. We have a very simple mission. It is to grow the XR community in New York City. Now, we are NYVR, so I try and slide more VR folks up here, but anyone in the XR space, definitely we support wholeheartedly. So please share about the group that we are back. We've been doing events since 2013. We took a little hiatus due to a damn thing called COVID, but we are very excited to be back in person and we're going to continue to try and program events. Probably do events every other month starting after the summer. So also, if you have anyone who is in the space who would like to present, please connect them to me. Want to first thank the Glimpse Group and Laurent, our CEO here, for helping to hook us up with the event space today. So as many of you know, we used to kind of hop around to a bunch of different venues, and those venues have kind of dried up a bit, so it's really great to be able to use this amazing space. We're going to try to do it a bunch more. Woo! Also, many thanks to our volunteers. So today, Jake and Jordan were helping out. We have a bunch of other ones. So if anybody is interested in helping the group out, come on up afterwards and let me know. I usually share upcoming events. I know we have an XR Access event on June 15th and June 16th. If anyone gets aware of any other events that are happening, please let me know. I'm happy to give shout-outs. One thing also that I used to do for many years, which I really enjoyed doing, was called the NYVR Collaboration Group. The Collaboration Group was really designed to help people who are trying to get started in VR. And what I would do is basically take names and backgrounds and team people up to go out and create a little non-for-profit type of project. So if I found an artist and a developer and a project manager, I kind of pair them together and say, go build something. So I am looking to actually continue doing that because it was a really successful program back in the day. So if anybody is interested in something like that, again, just come up on it afterwards. Also, again, yeah, future presenters, if anyone knows anybody in the XR space, definitely hit me up. We have a couple of shout outs today, a couple of great demos. So one is, where is he? There he is. Grab him afterwards. He's got an awesome platform named Echo 3D. Ilya is in the house. Where's Ilya? Ilya is in the back right there. We've known Ilya a long time, and he's got a wonderful platform called Tonic. And Lisa is, there she is. She's got a cool AR activation in a museum, but is working on a VR program, which hopefully will get up on stage very soon. And with that, we'll go right into the introduction. Oh, I got one more VIP. Mr. Kent Bai is sitting right there. So if you're new to this space and you don't know Kent Bai's podcast, definitely hit it up. I feel like I know it, so I've been listening a long time. Okay, with that, we're going to get right into the presentations. We're going to try and keep presentations to about 10 minutes apiece. And we're going to start with Mr. Jaye Moore. Where is Jay? There he is. Awesome.
Jay told me right at the last second, Kent Bai's going to be here. Great. I'm going to look around. Hi.
And here's your time.
Oh, okay. Hello, everyone. Good to see so many friendly faces, familiar faces. My name is Jaye Moore, and I'd like to first thank DJ for having me here, and thanks to Laurent and and the Glimpse Group for getting this thing started again, because I've been coming to these for quite a few years, and it's nice to finally get up and speak at one. So I used to be a web developer before I started doing VR, and I came here and met these guys, and they convinced me I should be a VR developer, so now I am. So to start with, I am a developer and technical artist at Immersed VR. Does anyone know what Immersed VR is, or have you used it? A couple of hands here. So basically, it's working in VR. It's your workstation. You can connect your laptop, PC, Mac, or Linux, and have up to 5 screens. You can connect your phone. You can use a webcam. You can use a whiteboard. It's pretty awesome. Let me see here. I'm gonna do this thing. Just click it.
Just the down arrow.
Or you can write some code.
I'm better at writing code than I am talking to people, so give me a drum set. Okay, so a little overview of Immersed. Immersed was founded by Renji B. Joy. He was voted Forbes 30 Under 30 in 2021. He's a Techstars 2017 grad. Immersed is right now, it's the #1 work app on the Meta App Store. And according to them, we have the most users in any app who use the app 40 to 50 hours a week. And I can say that is true because I see these people in there all the time. We have these guys we call the mercenaries, who are just, they've been with the company since the beginning, and they're just a great group of users who are always in there helping new users and doing all kinds of just presentations and things like that. Also, Immersed is also live in the Best Buy and Walmart stores in their Quest Pro kiosks. We also got featured in their Pro commercial for the Pro, and they also mentioned us in their whatever their live thing they did. And we are also partnered with Meta, ByteDance, Microsoft, and some of the other top VR giants, all on mixed reality offices. Okay, next. Let me show you a little video. Supposed to be sound. Let's see if I can get some sound.
Sound is always a challenge. Oh,
There you go.
It's obnoxious music, that's it. Essentially, one of the things you can, oops, I'll start this again. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so what are some of the benefits of working in Immersed and working in VR? So I'm sure a lot of you recently saw the Apple Vision, and probably saw a lot of similar things in our video, which you probably saw in the Apple Vision. So we've already been working on spatial computing for a while, and we're not just limited to Mac or the price tag of $3,500. Anyway, so what are some of these benefits? So this is sort of the general benefits. We've got focus. You can focus with massive virtual screens. I myself am a very ADD person, so I get distracted really easily. So having massive screens around me in a virtual environment, so you can be in a 360 video, you can be in a virtual reality world, or you can even just be in mixed reality. Either way, it's just really nice to be able to focus on, right? You can co-work with remote users in any of our awesome environments. We have a virtual cafe that's really popular, space station, rustic cabin, lots of other environments. You can even upload your own 360 photos at the moment. Also, you can collaborate with people by sharing screens or whiteboards, or just have private meeting rooms to meet in. Another thing is our community. That's probably what makes us stand out the most from all these other apps like Big Screen and Spatial and Horizons, is that we really do have at least several thousand people a day working in VR in our public spaces. People like get together, they do presentations. We have people who have created businesses together, have met in Immersed. I met a guy last week when I was doing live support who lives down the street from where my band practices in Brooklyn, and we're going to meet up sometime next week to hang out. So I think that's pretty cool. We can meet people in VR. You can also work from anywhere. You can sit on your couch, lie in your bed, get in the closet, your bathroom, wherever, shower. Just anywhere you just need to feel like you have some space to work. You need some space to work in, but your physical space is a lot smaller. Another cool thing is that we have our Help Desk Live, which is we have a live support room that you can go in VR and talk to anybody who's working, one of our employees who's working in there 9 to 6, Monday through Friday. We also have a Discord channel, which is pretty much the same thing, but you'll get a response from any of the employees or any of the mercenaries, but it's a really active Discord. You can also connect multiple computers, so you can have a PC, a Mac, or Linux, and you can switch between them just by the click of a button. So if and there's actually some hacks where you can have all these computers in at once if you want to, but you didn't hear it from me. Let's see what's called. So what are some of my personal benefits from working in VR? So community and friends. One great thing is I need reading glasses as I've gotten older. And with Immersed, I can bring these screens right to my face. I don't need any glasses or anything like that. So that's really cool. I can do video tutorials. I can see my code. I can see Unity. I can see YouTube. I can see. It just makes it so much easier to follow along. I can play the drums. You saw in that little commercial. I saw someone playing the drums. That's actually one of my coworkers. But I can get behind my drum set, put on the headset, throw up screens. I can control my recording software from there, from another room. You can also, if you don't, if you want to add like really sharp monitors, you can plug in 4K dongles, and so you can actually have more than 5 monitors in Immersed with that. You can also do other things like get Linux display drivers to give you ultra wide screens in VR. You can also hang out with other friends from other companies. So if you get some of these glimpsers in there, I can hang out with my old buddies. You can also, like I said, it's easy to switch between your work laptop, your home PC, or if you have a Mac, or if you can even put your iPad or your iPhone in there. I also like to work from my front porch all the time with large screens. All right, let's see what else. This is kind of some stuff I've already talked about: co-working, music production, presentations, focus learning. We saw one of my coworkers trying to cook once he got his Quest Pro. I thought that was pretty neato. 1 second select here. Quick little, so as I use Immerse, we've got our interface, we've got a Palm menu here that allows for quick access to things like opening the larger menu, which allows you to dive into more features. You can mute yourself, you can pull up the seating, you can hide your screen, switch into pass-through. Lots of awesome testimonials and reviews on the App Store. We have probably the highest rated and most rated app on the App Store. I mean, it's just 5-star. We have a 5-star review. Occasionally, you get a couple of jerks in there. Let's see here. What is the pricing of Immersed? So Immersed is free. It's free to use with 2 virtual monitors. Or we have a thing we invented called Work to Earn, which is the more time you spend in working in Immersed, the more credits you earn. And with credits, you can actually just buy the additional monitors or open new environments, or if you just want to skip straight to it, you can just buy them. See here. Oh, and this is a little bit of what the immersive marketplace looks like. Right now, we just have screens and environments, but we will be adding some pretty cool new stuff soon, which I can't say where it is yet, but soon we'll get there. So what are my final thoughts? So remote work, spatial computing, and working with a great community in VR is an amazing experience, I have to say. When I first started working there, I was a little skeptical about how much time I would spend working in VR, but now I just love it. It's great. Work from my couch, bed, airplane, office, wherever, with 5 screens, and it will improve and change your work life. You'll be more productive. You'll be more focused. You know, I think I get so much more done. Like I don't have to spend that time switching between Unity and my coding editor back and forth. I can just look over here. It's all right there. So please try it. It's free, and you can get the 2 screens. You can work a few hours, earn more screens or more environments or whatever. All right, thank you very much.
Jaye will be hanging out afterwards, and we're going to hold all Q&A until afterwards. You can meet with all the presenters afterwards. All right, next we got Mr. Dror showing Foretell.
Try something unique. Can you hear me? Yeah? Cool. So a little bit about myself. I'm Dror, GM of Foretell Reality. Been with the Glimpse Group since 2019 actually. So it is 4 years approaching, July 2019. Before that I was with companies like Nokia, Samsung, Amazon. That was the switch for me to the startup. But I was exposed to virtual reality in 2015 actually when I was at Samsung. I remember that I went to the Consumer Electronics Show. I was kind of mind blown by the tricks that virtual reality plays on our brain. I was even a little bit scared, but then I said, oh, okay, maybe the evolution of virtualization didn't start with virtual reality, right? I mean, I imagine the first people in a cave seeing drove a cow on the wall and just freaked out. So I think that was the first time that someone played trick on someone's brain. But anyway, I started, being interested more and more in virtual reality. And I think that when I discussed with Lebron back at the time to join Glimpse, there was one example that really hooked me, which is the ability to pass a ball between participants in a virtual world. And as much as it sounds very trivial, that clicked to me as the first time that I understood, oh, okay, that's the difference between 2D and 3D. And then I said, okay, there's something here.
Sure, from stay kind of closer on the right to the sign so you get you in the camera.
Since when I adhere to the rules.
That's a different problem.
So what is Foretell Reality? And this picture, I think that for me tells something. It's about, our mission is to enhance human interaction through virtual reality. So we define this mission, and it sounds maybe simple, but it's not that simple, because technology usually is connected to disconnecting people from each other, although it's not completely true. I remember when I worked at Nokia, the slogan Nokia connecting people really resonated with me, and this is what we try to do in Foretell Reality. So what are the mission, according to this mission, what are the main use cases that we try to address, okay? The main buckets are 3, therapy and support, the other one experiential learning, and we have soft skills training. Each of them is about the interaction between people. It's less around the objects that are part of this engagement. It doesn't mean that it is not there, but we really want to focus on how that enhances human interaction. Around these, use cases, we have a bunch of clients. We can categorize these clients per each of the use cases, but many of them are actually overlap, right? I mean, therapy and support is not only about the group discussion or the opening up in front of others, it's also acquiring soft skills to deal with, real life situations, to be less reactive and more dynamic in the way that you treat stuff. And according to that, we have few design principles. This is not a conclusive list by no means, but we try to solve real life problems, right? It's not, with all respects to games and so forth, which is great, We try to anchor ourselves in the problems that businesses face when they deal with human interaction. We also try to understand the value that we're adding into practices that are non-VR primarily. What it means is we don't think that virtual reality invents the practice. Virtual reality can take it to the next stage. Okay? We encourage users to engage in and benefit from social activity. We are B2B focused, we are not B2C focused, and this is important. And then we allow a lot of tools for moderators to lead these sessions. This is an interesting comparison table. I'm not going to go by one by one, but you can see all kinds of features and capabilities that do not exist in other forms of meeting together, whether it is the virtual ultimate of video conferencing, or whether it is even an in-person discussion, whether it is the true anonymity, whether it is physical activity in all kinds of engagement that are not easy to replicate in real life. Obviously, when you digitize experiences, you can start measuring things. You can put things into metrics, right? I mean, how much I talk to each other, how much I looked at people, in their eyes, and then to also reflect and to learn from that. And you can see the slide by yourself. Let me show a quick video that gives a little bit of a taste of our environments, the avatars, but mostly the usages that we can do in the platform. And you can see also, the elements that we try to put here. So let me play that.
Were you a paratrooper?
This is a type of exposure to pictures and movies, 360. You're all familiar with that.
Hold their hands out into a T shape if you have the space. And stretch them up all the way very, very slowly.
Feeling grounded? I would say relax, make people relax.
The playfulness.
Feel that they didn't show up.
Okay. Let's go back to the presentation. Okay, a couple of examples of use cases that we work on with clients that we can share the information about. This is a very recent project that we're doing actually in Israel with the Ministry of Education. What excites me there is in Foretell, in our platform, we bring together pupils, students, Muslims, Christians, Jews, all in one platform, learn together on all kinds of historical sites that have significance and different significance for each of the cultures. So the program was developed with a historian in Israel. It is a pilot that the Ministry of Education there is conducting. You see here in the picture, you see different characters. I don't know how many of you are familiar with names, but here, for example, Amalia, which is a Jewish name, you can see even the way that she dresses, right? It's not something very conservative. And at the same time, you have other characters that come from different cultures, and they all examine the ruins of a place that is called Bechan in Israel. Maybe peace will start in virtual reality. Definitely, I would love to have it in Foretell. But this is a great use case that we are very proud of to be part of. Another example is we work with Yale Medical School on support group for cancer patients. This is a study that Dr. Marks, you see him on the right-hand side, has conducted using Foretell Reality, and the results are quite astonishing. For example, the participation went from almost 0% to over 70%. Just imagine all the hurdles that participants in support group in this condition have, whether it is logistical barriers to come to the place, whether it is the exposure for infection, and all of a sudden you don't need to expose yourself in front of a camera, but you can engage in these activities and the playfulness and open up. Of course, this session are moderated by social worker or by a clinician. Another example is more in the corporate world, the soft skills development. We have various corporate-like environments, like a boardroom and a couple of others, and then you practice role plays. Again, role play is not a new thing, but virtual reality brings it to the next level. One of the features that we really like that we have in our platform is the ability to record the session in 3 dimensions, and then you can see a hologram in front of you where you can reflect with others or with the guide in order to learn from that and to practice again. Alcoholic Anonymous, this is again not a new use case, but one of our clients, which we are again very proud to be part of the mission, they are trying to change the paradigm of treating alcohol use disorder. They're saying that the current paradigms do not work. Paying $30,000, $40,000 and going for a month or 2 disconnecting from your family doesn't have good success rates. And they're saying, let's develop a program that you can treat alcohol use disorder from the comfort of your home without disconnecting from the family. And virtual reality is just one component of a very extensive protocols that they use. And it is so important for them because of the anonymity. Because they say, Alcoholic Anonymous, when you meet each other, you're not anonymous anymore. But in virtual reality, you can keep your anonymity all along. Immersive exposure, we saw a couple of examples before that, social activity and interpersonal connection, and wellness, as you could see in the video, is also something that can be used. The wellness is not just for the sake of meditation. It belongs to a field that is called recreational therapy, which means that you open up with your guides and with your mentors through some physical activity. So just imagine, not in the far future, I assume, you're going to be able to work the glass, to wear the glasses, walk in the park, Central Park, for example, you're going to have your therapist next to you, and you're going to have discussion over a morning walk versus being glued in front of a camera or being glued to a couch. With all respect, I mean, I'm not saying that these therapies do not have value. Yeah, that's it. I don't think
All right, next up we got Kevin. Come on. Did we fix the audio?
Not sure. Not then we can find it.
Okay.
Hello everyone, how are you? My name is Kevin Park. Unfortunately, my co-PI, Nayeon Kim, Dr. Kim couldn't be here. She's in Korea, so I'm a chair of the department at the New Institute of Technology in short-term, NYT. And first of all, thank you for DJ and everyone at the links, because my students are here working with you guys, so I appreciate that. 1 second. Jump into this. Okay, so today, basically we're going to cover one of our project that research project that we've been working on, and it's a little early to talk about this because we're still gathering the content and the data, analyzing data, but why not? Okay, so since they're here, our team, 5 of our students are here. Thank you. Okay. So this is based on the TRT grant, and we got 3 more grants based on this, and we move on. Okay, so this is our abstract. So the project is for building simulation training course for school counseling students in graduate school, and going through the 3 different locations and the simulation to encompass their counseling competencies. That's basically our goal. So a lot of us already know that because of COVID, something happened to the school system. New York City has about 1,600 schools, and almost 80% already fail in terms of supporting students' need. In terms of ratio, maximum ratio is 250 students per one counselor, and right now they're already bypassing almost 460 together. And the fact that they lost almost 2,000 counselors during that time is an unfortunate situation, but they need more of a training tool that at this moment, so we want to investigate that as part of our.
So I'd like to introduce the purpose of our.
Sorry, so since she couldn't be here, I asked her to record herself and get play here. There's a fourth slide that she's going to talk. So that's her actual voice.
Bring her to the hour.
So I'd like to introduce the purpose of our research study first. So basically, we wanted to develop and pilot a training method for multicultural and social justice counseling competence for counseling students, and test the effectiveness of the educational tool for counselor educators. So I'm in the counseling field, and I'm currently teaching school counseling students. And for those of you who are not familiar with multicultural and social justice counseling competence, I brought a little bit of background for that. So MSJCC has been emphasized as an essential competence for counselors because understanding our client's multicultural identity is very important. And we are working with individuals from diverse backgrounds, and we believe it's very essential to train our students. Our research study is a quasi-experimental design, meaning that there are two different groups. The first group is an experimental group where participants actually participated in the VR program. On the other hand, we also have a control group where participants did not participate in any virtual program. And we have two different virtual reality programs. And the first program is a group counseling session. For this one, its participant is a counselor who is facilitating a group counseling session in the virtual reality program. There are 5 to 6 students who are sharing their different concerns, including family relations.
So this is one of the screenshots we can show you. By the way, we are running the demo maybe afterwards, so you can test it as well.
And the other virtual reality program is an individual counseling session where participants have to facilitate an individual counseling session. For this one, we have only one client who is an Asian high school student. And the student was sharing his concerns, especially for the peer relationship. He felt isolated because he's an Asian boy, so he shared his concern, and the participants have to support the student. And
so between these two sessions, the participants go through one training, and then when they're done, they go from group to individual session. And when everything is completed, our students there actually record the whole sessions, and then as a backup, which I'm about to go to show you. So this is how we develop the Unity component to it. So the goal is not about surrounding or realistic goals, and because we already talked to our participant about, do you want to talk to the real person versus animation or cartoon characters or not, and they really didn't care. It's more about repeatedness of it, and then we get to it. So the whole component that we want to focusing on was a conversation at the end of it, because at the end, environment matters, but at the end, what they say to that each situation matters. So our interest was collecting this data, and then when you go back as a transcribe, we can identify what they actually said it and how they said it, and we can repeat it and go back to individual students. How was your reaction? Why did you say a certain way versus the other way, and etc. So this is what it looked like. Oops, sorry. So they go through the onboarding process. So this teaches people how to use machine and how to use a VR environment. So we done a lot of testings before this grant project. So we have a multiple projects going on, and we realized our participants spend too much time on VR itself, which doesn't help us. So we try to eliminate those things by training them. This is exactly what you're going to go through. Our interest is on your voice, how you interact with this process. So we create this situation where they instruct to say something and then respond to it and listen to what they are hearing and etc. Okay? Once the instruction is done, they go through this free form. They can say what they want to say, and then we collect that information after. So this is an individual session. Yeah, John, if you want to-
I am doing okay.
Oops, sorry. We'll get to that later. Yeah, so at the end, this is a collection of the recordings we collect. So from Unity and we actually collect directly, and also we collect as a backup from just using their cell phone as well. This is our conversational design end of it, where if you're familiar with the UI, we actually go from instructor to the response, instructor to respond, and then we design this process. And then once the training is done, it's open-ended. So every time they hear the recording end of it, they say what they think is the right thing to say, or how they can convert in a way, in different ways. So this is individual sessions. This is the detail what it looks like. So instruction to say, respond to Gene about this. He's going to the school bullying. What would you respond, and etc. And this is what the testing looked like. So we did 2 locations. Like what Dr. Kim said, before this session, we had another group, control group, where they did a pre-survey without seeing the VR, and this was a group that went through the VR sessions. And that's exactly what the process looked like. And again, this is what there's always done as well. Okay, let me just play. So at the end, we collect this information and analyze exactly what said it, what word they use, and how they responded, what the tonality, and etc. So for example, here, in this case, this student.
We will get back to you, John. Thank you for sharing. But for now, let's focus on Amy. Would you like to share a little bit more? Would you like to talk a little bit more about your family issues that you stated?
Oops, sorry.
Sure, John. It's now you feel a little. Sure, John. It's now you feel a little upset about your brother playing video game, but let's talk about Amy a little bit more.
Another one here.
Amy, would you like to talk a little bit more about your family issues that you stated earlier? Do you find it stressful that your parents are asking you with help with translation, and it takes a toll and with your assignments?
All right, I'll conclude now. So that's how that's slide. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. And our last presenter, Mr. Alex, come on down. You're the next contestant. Coulomb.
Oh, close. Coulomb.
Cool. Close. It's only been a decade.
That's all.
So Alex presented at NYVR back in 2014.
Don't worry.
Do you have it?
Yeah.
Nice.
You embarrassed me last during the webinar, but I'm gonna embarrass myself.
I wanted to do this before DJ could do it.
Yeah.
So there I am. That's the first time I presented it. I was so young and innocent and using a TK2 at that point. Hi everyone, good to see you. My name is Alex Coulomb, and I know, right? Yeah, good times. And this slide is definitely stolen from an Unreal Engine talk, so you'll see I immediately start by saying, like, I'm an Unreal Engine authorized instructor. Not the most important thing about me, but it is true. And I have a background in architecture and theater. Been involved with a lot of different projects over the years, particularly architecture theater projects, among offshoots of that. Been working in VR since the Oculus Rift DK1. There I am in my DK1. And then in AR, I actually started using for my architecture thesis back when I was turning Fort J on Governor's Island into a crazy immersive theater. And the AR is in the upper right. I had like a little webcam marker-based thing where you could see everything going on inside. And I have this XR Creative Studio called Agile Lens. Sometimes people call us an XR SWAT team, and a recent client referred to us as XR SEAL Team 6, which I appreciate. So here's a quick example of like a recent architecture project, because I'm not going to dwell on these too much because we're doing less architecture work these days, but we did David Geffen Hall in Lincoln Center. We had a VR experience that allowed people to go into a mocked-up, built-out version of the balconies there and get a sense of what it would actually feel like to grab the railings and like be at different heights and lean over and be like, do I have vertigo? Yes, I do have vertigo. And last thing I want to mention is that we have a podcast called the Unofficial Unreal Engine Podcast. I co-host this with Jacob Feldman, who works at a cool cloud computing company called CoreWeave. We just did a very popular episode about the Apple Vision Pro. I don't know why so many people downloaded that one, but that was cool. Typically, when I'm giving a talk, I would kind of progress through these phases of talking about the work we've done in real architecture, the work we've done in real theater, and then progress to virtual architecture, virtual theater, and then hybrid approaches. But I want to keep this close to 10 minutes. We might bleed over a little bit. So we're going to keep this talk just about general cool stuff. We're going to do like a slide each for most of these projects, running through very quick stuff that I hope you find interesting. And if you want to talk about any of this in more detail later on, please come find me. I got like some demos and whatnot in the back. So first, live metahumans in VR. When metahumans came out in Unreal Engine in April of 2021, we got real excited. We've been working in different platforms that had limited performance capture in the past, and suddenly we had the ability to play with things in a much more exciting way. Let me see if I've got some audio here. Some of these do have audio, so let me see if I've got the right output real quick. I mean, that seems like it should be audio. I can also pretend that I'm the audio. That's fine. This is Kevin Laidson and Brendan Powers doing some tests for us in the Agile Lens office right after metahumans came out. We were playing with how amazing it actually felt to be inside a VR headset while someone was performing in VR. And that led to things like our production of Christmas Carol, which we do every December, forever and ever and ever. We've got Ari Tar playing Scrooge from his living room in Oregon, and all sorts of crazy ghosts that come and attack him. You know how the story goes. And what's been quite fun about this, besides just being a bit of a sandbox for our different virtual reality ambitions for live theater, is that we've been able to mix and match elements that we've taken from real theater. So the original director of the piece, Robert Barry Fleming, had a crack team of his folks down for Actors Theater of Louisville, and we actually started by doing this production both as something that happened in their physical space, where our metahumans, rendered lovingly by Rob Lester, were projected onto scrims inside the actual space, while the virtual show took those metahumans and, of course, were spatialized. We could change their scale, we could make the Ghost of Christmas Present 50 feet tall, and flying around in VR as little other ghosts who are collectively haunting Scrooge, you really get a beautiful sense of that scale. There's Greg Moppin, who played Scrooge in the physical production, and of course we take the drawings by the costume designers at Actors Theater and bring that into our experience. What we found was quite nice about working on this particular production, which made its way into our other virtual reality theater work moving toward the future, is that when we take people from theater who are interested in what this technology can do, it's often quite nice to show them that it's not that different from what they are used to. So Robert Barry Fleming, as the director, had never put on a VR headset before, and he was able to do things like sit down in Louisville while Ari is over in Oregon and pretend he's basically in a black box theater and watch Ari rehearse. And he can give Ari the exact same kind of acting notes he would to a regular actor. We might play with things like changing his costume. We did fun things like swapped out the script in his hand for a candle, but it actually felt pretty natural for him. And I've been working with Ari for years. I just met him for the very first time last week in LA at the Next Stage Summit. Most of the people involved with Christmas Carol have still never met Ari. One fun thing that we've been doing with our theater work is finding ways to simplify it. I was presenting last year at an event in Seoul called the Seoul Performing Arts Festival, and they told me very last minute that they wanted to do a live show. They're like, can you play Scrooge? I'm like, I sure can try. And they're like, we're gonna have a Korean actor who wants to play all the ghost parts. And I said, I don't think we can do that. And they're like, can you try? And I'm like, okay. So we had June on our team whip up a version of Christmas Carol that is basically karaoke, where we actually give like the prompting of the script on the screen. This is actually Ari trying this experience out for the first time last week at the Next Stage Summit. And the idea is basically that we keep everything pre-recorded with the body capture, which was done with Xsense and Rococo, and now we're using Move AI and capturing programs like that. And then we're just using the LiveLink app to let people go and take control of the characters entirely through a phone. And so that's what we did in Korea, and we had people viewing the whole thing in VR, and that was pretty cool. Ari's biggest request over the past couple of years has been that he doesn't want to be looking at a phone when he's performing. He wants to be performing from inside VR. So I've been playing a lot over the past couple of years with the Bifocus 3 and the XR Elite and the MetaQuest Pro and different headsets that have facial tracking to see if we can start to translate this data over to a metahuman. It's not natural, it's not something that any of these SDKs are doing a great job of on their own, but I've got some janky spaghetti code right now that is trying to make this work, and we're on the right path. I also have uploaded this entire project to GitHub, so if anyone wants to keep messing with this, please do. We're also having a lot of fun starting to play with AI and metahumans, and we're doing a project that is premiering right now with Infinite Reality in London for London Tech Week. This is a totally AI metahuman who is responding to you, talking to her about the car behind. You can say, can I see the car in blue, and tell me about the tires, and how many electricities does it get? And she'll do her best to answer all these questions, like a very sophisticated chatbot, and it's quite nice. In this one, this is interesting, you can't hear it, but in the first clip, she is much more robotic sounding. Here, we haven't gotten the lips moving yet, but she actually sounds much more natural. And this is through using a plugin called In-World AI, which is very exciting. For hybrid theater, I wanted to touch on a production we did last year called The Orchard Off-Broadway with Mikhail Baryshnikov and Jessica Hecht. We had a digital twin at the Baryshnikov Art Center where people were seeing an actual live production of the show inside the theater. And then we got to take the virtual audience on a bit of a crazy mind-exploding tour of the Baryshnikov Art Center with all sorts of crazy things happening in these different rooms and these different spaces. You'd always start with something that was physically based in the real Baryshnikov Art Center, and then you go off into something that's a little bit more insane. So this was really fun use, pixel streaming and giving the entire virtual audience from around the world opportunities to do things like this, which you would never do in the real world, pulling things out of Baryshnikov's chest. Also with pixel streaming, which we use a lot of because a lot of our projects are very high-end, photorealistic, require high-end hardware. We've been working more with architecture firms and our friends at Fisher Dax Associates to have a very simple way to allow anyone to export 3D models using DataSmith and having certain coding for just based on the name of the DataSmith files you export, starting to set them up so that they can easily be streamed into the cloud and start to set up different kinds of interactivity. So for a theater, jumping to every seat, cycling through different design options, what's on stage, an orchestra, a Shakespeare production, etc., etc. And this is using something in Unreal called the Collab Viewer template. Anyone can download it and check it out. And the great thing about it is it has out-of-the-box multiplayer, and you can do VR and non-VR as part of the same shared session. I can't talk about this project too much, but I do want to just mention briefly. We have been involved since December with something called Four Seasons Private Residences on Lake Austin. It is a $1.2 billion, crazy, wonderful architecture real estate project. And here's a couple quotes from a recent article about it. I can't wait to show you more pictures and videos of that kind of stuff. But I was contacted by like 9 people. I'll try to name some of them. Kim Bauman-Larson, Jeff Model, Matthew Bannister, Vikas Reddy, Jeff Powers, Paul DeBevic, all sorts of folks who are like, hey, I know this guy who's trying to make like the most photorealistic architecture project of all time. Do you think you can help? And I said, I sure will try. That's always what I say to these projects. And so we now have this thing out in Austin. This is the only thing I can show you is our crazy custom OptiTrack 3D printed setup to make this local experience of walking through $300 million of amenities and local multiplayer. And it's a pretty darn photorealistic tour. And we've had all sorts of fun Texas celebrities go through it. And if you ask me later what certain people might have said about the experience, I'm happy to share that in private. Another thing we've been doing that's been influencing our work more and more lately is compositing Stereo 360 together. This was one where we had an entirely Unreal Engine backdrop, motion graphics composited in, and then the fisheye stereo lens from Canon in here, so that's kind of what it would look like before it's composited. And I only bring that up very briefly to say that now, when we work on projects like Pasión Según San Marcos, sorry for the pronunciation, down in in Tennessee, and why am I thinking of the name? Clarksville, thank you, Jackie. Then we start to have these fun opportunities to take all the different tools and techniques we're working on and bring them all together. So here's Wit on the ground, and you can't hear it, which is sad because it's so beautiful, but we have Gregory, the conductor, conducting this beautiful piece. We have the chorus in the back singing. We have guitar starting up, some gnarly guitar, and then awesome singing. And what we're doing during this patch session, which was after the live shows, we captured the live shows, so during the patch session, we are getting depth data from DepthKit. We are getting 360 and stereo 180 data. Jackie, Witt, Kevin Leaves, and myself are all there on site. And then we also got some motion capture data. So this is called a capoeira dance, and this was our first time playing with Move AI. We set up like an iPad and like a couple Android phones that weren't even the same model, and it came out pretty good. So we just got this embarrassment of riches, about 2 terabytes of different data that we now are going to put together as like a 90-minute YouTube video that just kind of goes through the entire show, and you can view it in VR. And then here's what Wit is focusing on over in Unity, which is meant to be this great volumetric scan, this point cloud data of the entire theater that you can then walk around in, and you can stick your head into these different bubbles that will then give you the stereo 360 or stereo 180 footage of the show from different moments. And it's very powerful. This was, bar none, one of the most incredible live experiences that I've ever seen in my life, and I feel very privileged that we now get to evangelize this and try to get more than the 200 or so people who saw it live in Tennessee to bring this to schools and festivals around the world. So look forward to seeing more from that. Here's a nice VFX graph from Wit. Good job, Wit. And then I kind of want to wrap up just mentioning a couple things that are on the horizon that are very exciting, like WebXR pixel streaming. So right now, if you want to have a very high-end Unreal Engine experience, and you want to stream it over the internet, like we were doing with Christmas Carol, you need someone to sideload an app. And if they're not a developer who's dealt with sideloading, it's a little bit painful for them. But I've been poking all the right people at Epic Games for a little while now, and I finally got them to include an experimental feature, which we're calling WebXR Pixel Streaming. And what this basically allows you to do is stream an Unreal Engine experience through WebXR. And what that means is you have one link, and you can go to that link in your browser on your Chromebook and access a non-VR experience there, or you go to that exact same link inside your MetaQuest browser, or your Vive browser, or your Vario browser, and then you are basically activating a full VR experience without having to download or sideload anything. And right now, the latency, not so great. It does need some predictive algorithms, synchronous space warp and whatnot, to make this a better experience. But the core here is we're working on reducing the friction and making it as easy as possible to access the most photoreal VR experiences that we can possibly dream up. So that's exciting. And also, I have to mention, this is my silly AI rendering of the future of the Apple Vision Pro. This is going to be a good way to get through to this headset if they continue to be sad about Unreal Engine and block everything Epic does. You could go into WebXR and get your Unreal Engine experiences in that way. Here's my, like, much further in the future. You could be in this happy world, like, looking at, green things, and the whole world around you is burning. That's a good future. And XR Kids. This was a previous podcast I had with a friend of mine where we talked a lot about raising our kids in VR. I figured, I've talked about this in previous NYVR talks, but I wanted to give a little update. It's going really well, guys. My kids have remarkable spatial reasoning. What I'm showing here is a little clip from a wonderful VR game called Another Fisherman's Tale, and my 5-year-old is solving a puzzle here that I was warned in advance that a lot of playtesters have gotten stuck on, and it was like, if you need like a full walkthrough, we'll send you like a 10-minute video to go through the whole thing, and like I popped my 5-year-old in there, and he had the whole thing worked out in not too long a time. So just want to say, small doses, don't leave your kid in VR as like a babysitter, but curated, co-parenting with that VR headset is really powerful, and I've seen my kids learn remarkable skills from that. Finally, I just want to wrap up with kind of building on that, a recent event that happened that I think was just a great marker of how wonderful the VR community is, there was a Saturday where a bunch of us found out that there was a 4-year-old girl in the UK who's dying of cancer, and her kind of last wish for her last birthday was she wanted to be a mermaid. And so a bunch of people in the VR community came together and made, I think, 6 total different experiences to help that happen for her. This was with a company called VR Therapies. A bunch of folks at Agilens came together last minute and made this experience with a cake that's made of coral. We recorded a bunch of actors saying a bunch of things to the girl whose name was Zainab, and we have all these lovely little animations and cute little cat mermaids that come through here and say hi to you. And it was just one of those things where, like, it was 48 hours, no one was getting paid anything, but you saw a bunch of people drop what they were doing and go through and make this really lovely experience that she got to experience, and now her brother and her family have all these great memories and these actual experiences to have for themselves. So happy to talk more about that, and we do have that experience if anyone wants to try it out. And when I was thinking about like how to wrap up this talk, I did this last week too. I was like, I need some kind of end slide, and we did a project for Dell, which we don't have time to talk about today, but we tried fixing some weird facial capture stuff, and so we had like something that was too frowny, and then we fixed it to be a little bit more smiley. So it was like, yeah, you saw my talk, and now you're a little happier, or something like that. And that's, I don't know what this is, but just watch this for like 10 seconds, and then I'm going to pretend that I can't get it to stop playing, and then maybe in a few days you can remember that you saw this, and then we'll talk about it more. But, there's exciting things happening. Thanks, everyone. That's all.
That's it on presentations. Thanks to everyone who presented. Also, we did live stream, and it'll be on YouTube Live. Thanks to Jimmy, who's remote. It's KSVN TV, so I'll put the link on the meetup page so you can do it. Say hi to Dario. Dario's with HCC in the back. He's out there. All right, all the presenters will be sticking around and answering questions, and hopefully, I think September will be the next meetup, and then we're going to do every other month after that. So have a great summer. Good to be back.